No, yes.
Yeah, I think that's right. We'll cut them.
Okay, everyone. We're going to get started here this evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This video is being recorded. This is the Collin College Dual Credit Information Session. Again, thank you so much for joining us, parents, students, and staff. My name is Milka Pavlik. I am the Collin College and Career Counselor for both Melissa and Princeton High Schools. This presentation is to help you understand what dual credit is and to see if your student is eligible to take dual credit and all the steps that students will need to complete to be eligible to take those dual credit courses this coming fall of 2024. Also joining us here this evening is Mrs. Andrea Schlechtowski, who is one of the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the Collin McKinney campus. She's here joining us. She is the dean that oversees the Melissa dual credit courses offered at Melissa High School and also the professors that teach those classes. We also have with us this evening Miss Melanie Fox, who's one of our dual credit professors at Melissa High School, who is also going to be covering some information on this presentation as well. If anyone has not muted, if you can mute yourself at this time so we can prepare to begin the presentation this evening. Thank you.
We'll walk in the backyard.
Just going to wait just a few more minutes here to make sure that maybe others who are joining us have the opportunity here.
Milka, one more reminder too. We want to make sure we let the families know. You should have heard the little reminder at the beginning that, and which Milka said as well, that this meeting is being recorded. Once we finish today, we will download it and post it to our Melissa High School website. So if you have friends who weren't able to get logged on tonight, let them know in the next couple of days. We'll be posting that there, and then they'll be able to watch this as well. I feel like I'm echoing there. I apologize for that. And we will also work to answer questions in the chat feature. So if you have questions, you can post them there and we'll try to answer those as we're going along. And if we don't answer them in there, we will be able to send you that information moving forward also. So, but please feel free to use that if you need to for questions. And
okay,
I see there's a lot of comments about muting.
So that we can have enough time. There's a lot of information to cover this evening. So again, for those of you who have just joined us, this is the dual credit information presentation. My name is Milka Pavlik. I'm the Collin College and Career Counselor for both Melissa and Princeton High School. I am at the high schools to assist the school and students with any dual credit needs. I'm the person that registers those students for their dual credit classes and also meets with both dual credit and non-dual credit students at the high school for college and career advising as well. All right, so getting started here. So first of all, what is dual credit? Dual credit is a college course that students can take to earn both high school and college credit within one class. It's a great opportunity for students to get an early start on college and be able to have that experience of taking a college level course. When students begin taking dual credit classes, they essentially begin their college transcript. So there's a lot of advantages here to taking dual credit classes. So a little bit more information here, some benefits of taking dual credit. As mentioned, dual credit courses may count towards high school credit. The classes are small because the classes are offered at the Melissa High School campus as versus a student taking the same course at a college campus or at a university where classes are much larger, so they can have that individualized help from their instructors within that class. Another benefit is Dual credit students through Collin College are essentially Collin College students, so they have available to them at no additional cost the support services that Collin College offers, and I'll be touching base a little bit more later on about what those are.
Love that.
As mentioned, they can begin their college transcript by beginning these courses. And depending on the courses that the student takes for dual credit, they may be eligible to complete either a certificate or an associate's degree while they're taking these classes. The associate's degree would require 60 credit hours, and so just will depend on the amount of courses that the school approves for the student to take. And then one great benefit at Melissa High School is the benefit that Melissa High School pays for dual credit courses for their students. So that is a great cost savings to parents as well. Okay, so just a little bit of information about the cost savings, just to give you an understanding what that would look like. So at Collin College, a three credit hour course is $188 for an in-county, in-state student. In comparison, at UTD or University of North Texas, the cost would be much higher. So definitely a cost saving to students and parents with Collin College courses. Also, dual credit courses are transferable, specifically those that are academic dual credit courses, to most public four-year colleges and universities in Texas. The key word here is public. And so that is something that the students could take advantage of. Now, if a student graduates high school and they want to attend a private school or an out-of-state university, they'll have to check for transferability for those universities specifically. All right, so I'm going to pass it along to Ms. Fox to cover the next couple of slides here.
We are.
So is dual credit right for you? It really depends on a couple of things. Are you really good with your time management skills? Is your attendance good? Are you responsible when you're involved in other things outside of school or those activities to make up your work? I mean, you just need to be responsible enough and mature enough to talk to your professors and figure out if you're missing stuff or just stay on top of your assignments. That's the biggest thing. But also the dates, there's that withdraw deadline. You have to pay attention to the dates in the college classes. They are crucial. So please make sure that you're paying attention to your syllabi and your instructors when they are giving you information. Also, the student code of conduct, plagiarism, it's not going to be tolerated. The whole AI stuff is not also going to be tolerated. And so please we just want to make sure that you're doing your work, but your professors are there to help you as much as they can.
Okay, the next slide, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Sorry. So the high school versus college. Obviously, high school is mandatory and usually free. College is voluntary and usually expensive. So with the dual credit, you're kind of getting the best of both for this experience, and it's kind of a nice little way to segue into that. Your time is structured in high school. College, the onus of responsibility is on you. It's not anything else. You have to manage your time. And if you're given time to work on stuff, it's up to you to do that. Your parents in high school can be your advocates. However, at college, they can't be. You have to advocate for yourself. If there are things that you need, if life happens and situations arise, you have to be the one who talks to your professors. Teachers frequently conduct review sessions. Your your professors may review information, but when you walk into the class on day one, we expect that you know the information you're coming in there to learn. It's not going to be review and, you know, go back to square one. It's, you already know this stuff. Teachers frequently arrange or rearrange test dates to avoid conflicts. Professors usually do, you know, they schedule tests without regard to other classes or outside activities. Now, your dual credit professors, they have the schedules and they have the calendars for Melissa, so they're at least aware. But please try to be, you know, aware of that, because things are kind of locked in on that syllabus from day one. And so if you have something outside of class or an extracurricular activity going on, you might want to give them a heads up, or your professor a heads up, or just do the work. You're not responsible for knowing what you need for graduation. For college, you're the one who keeps track of your classes constantly. And what classes will transfer, what classes are needed for your degree plan, and such like that. And then again, here, parents can talk to your teachers without your permission. In the dual credit class, they cannot. Only the student can speak with their professor about the class unless a FERPA waiver has been authorized. That's really important a lot of the times for the kids, because they're used to the parents speaking on their behalf, and it's a nice little way of getting the students used to advocating for themselves and speaking up and finding their voice. So there we go.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Fox, for that information.
And
Appreciate it.
Milka, really quick too,
Yes.
I wanted to reiterate what Ms. Fox had just said there. Parents, that's a big part. And I know she mentioned the word FERPA. And for those of you, that's an education term outside of education. If you think of in the medical field, HIPAA, where they are not allowed to share your personal information, it's the same way with the Collin College professors, but it's under FERPA, which is the education law. And so it's not that they're trying to be difficult or not trying to help, but they literally are not allowed to talk to the parent. They're only allowed to talk with the student. So just kind of know that going in. It makes kind of, especially for those kids that are going to be juniors next year, that's a really new thing. And so just know that going in as a parent, like Ms. Fox said, the kids have to really be responsible to meet the timelines. We're talking from even registration timelines. They've got to be prepared to meet those on their own and really advocate for that. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're moving forward and really trying to work with your child to see if this is the right decision for them going forward.
Very, very important. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. So just to reiterate what was said about FERPA here. So FERPA is actually called the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. As Ms. Stover said, it's similar to HIPAA law. So it's a federal law that ensures privacy of student educational records. So as mentioned already, Collin College cannot share information about, for example, grades or course schedules or test scores with parents unless the student has filled out a FERPA waiver, and they can do that through their Workday student interface, which I'll be talking about later on here in this presentation.
Okay.
It's a great opportunity, though, for students to learn the college process and to take new responsibilities on, as they are the ones responsible for all the information about themselves as students at Collin College. Another thing to add here is that because of FERPA, students will need to use their Collin email to communicate with their instructors. That's really important. Some students aren't aware that they have a Collin email assigned to them, but once a student applies to Collin, they will be assigned an email from Collin, and they will be responsible to check that email on a regular basis, because that's going to provide some really important information coming into them from Collin College. All right, so all about dual credit. So let's talk about the dual credit eligibility process. So really important, students, first of all, need to complete the entire Collin College admissions process, just like any other student applying to Collin. They will need to complete an application. Dual credit students will need to get permission from their high school counselor before they can get registered for any dual credit classes as well. And then for students who are going to be interested in taking academic dual credit classes, they must meet the college readiness standards as defined by the TSI, which I'll be talking a little bit more further on here. So that's going to be important as well for eligibility. And then students must meet both the high school and college academic requirements to be able to continue taking those dual credit classes each semester. Okay, so here's a listing of the academic course offerings for Melissa High School for fall and spring. The courses are held at Melissa High School with the exception of the online offerings here, Econ and Government. The academic courses listed here do satisfy the Texas core curriculum. And as mentioned earlier, those classes, most of them will be transferable to any Texas public four-year college or university, but those private schools or out-of-state schools, well, the student does need to check at that point for transferability for those courses. We also offer dual credit workforce offerings in our health sciences dual credit area and HVAC. HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So for students who are interested in a workforce dual credit, these are great options for them. For example, for students who are interested in the EKG technician dual credit courses, those students, if completing those classes, they may be eligible to receive a certification upon completion of those classes through Collin College. And then for those students who are interested in the HVAC dual credit classes, if they complete the classes, they may be eligible to get a certificate level 1 residential HVAC certificate for those completion. We also offer, and this is quite new since last year or last semester, we also offer the welding technology dual credit options for students who are interested in welding. These classes are offered at the Collin Technical Campus in Allen only. Melissa High School does offer the transportation to those students where they can be bused to that location to take those classes. If anyone is not muted, if you can mute, that would be great. Thank you so much. And then for these offerings, for welding offerings, the classes work a little bit different in terms of the student needs to complete certain steps to be able to take these classes. These classes are offered for graduating juniors. And so, I'm sorry, for rising juniors. And so they can have that opportunity to take these classes. Entrance into these classes, however, are first registered and first accepted. So that's something to keep in mind. If anyone has questions about these, I'm happy to take those questions later on. But we also have Ms. Fournier, who's one of our Melissa High School counselors, who also can answer those questions at the high school as well. Okay, so dual credit enrollment process. So as mentioned earlier, the first step is for the student to apply through applytexas.org for admission to Collin College. After the student applies, they will need to complete their assigned action steps. These are admissions holds that students need to complete as part of the onboarding process. And then for those students who plan to take academic courses, they must meet the TSI eligibility requirements as stated earlier as well. So Melissa High School is going to be holding Collin College application days that are mandatory for students to attend if they're going to be interested in taking dual credit classes for fall of 2024. And these will be held on January 17th, 18th, and 19th during A and B lunch. So really important that students pay attention to those dates so that they can complete those applications at your high school, as we'll be providing instructions during those sessions for students to be able to use to complete those Collin applications. Okay. Okay, so just some application tips here. So when a student creates an account through appliedtexas.org to apply to Collin, they must use their personal email address, and they must have access to that personal email address on their phone or in some way at that time so that that email can be verified. Once they get sent a verification email from Applied Texas, then they can begin their application. So that's a really important thing to remember, to use your personal email when creating your account. There's going to be an option on the application, also a drop down, where the student's going to have to select 2-year community college, because that is what Collin College is. And then they'll want to select Collin College, where it says Collin College multiple locations, as of course they're applying to this college. And then really important, another tip for their applications is students will need to assure that they answer the residency questions on the application correctly, because that's what triggers the amount of tuition the student's going to pay, or Melissa High School will pay for those dual credit classes. So lastly, once a student completes their application, what happens next is within about 3 to 5 business days, the student will be receiving emails from Collin College to their personal email. So really important that students check that email after they complete their application. Collin College will send them an email with their Collin ID number and then a username and temporary password so that they can log into what's called Workday, which is the student interface for Collin College students, where they're going to log in and complete all their admissions holds.
Speaks to God's eternal and unchanging nature. Well, the kind of
Okay, so more about application for admission. A few more tips. As mentioned, please use your personal email to create your account. Another really important step is to be sure to enter in your social security number when you're completing your application. That's going to be a question on the application that's required. If you don't do that, then there'll be an admissions hold for social security number, and that will prevent me from being able to register the student for their dual credit class. So please enter that information in. Be sure to choose the option as a dual credit student on the application. And then again, please answer those residency questions correctly on the application. And then lastly, a really important part of the application for Collin College is that once you complete all the questions on the application, please make sure that you receive, you get that confetti page. There's a page that's white and there's confetti coming down, and that's basically an indication that the whole application has been completed. So if you don't get that confetti screen, it means you missed a question and that application will never get processed to Collin. So please remember that important step. Again, just to remind you, the dates for application sessions at Melissa High School will be January 17th, 18th, and 19th during A and B lunch.
Milka, I'm going to pop in here really quick. I'm getting some questions in the chat specific to like, how do they register? How do they apply?
Okay.
The counseling team.
You're not listening. He just told you.
Oh, make sure that you mute your mics, please, if you would. The counseling team will be going
With
and
the
giving
screen.
all of their registration presentations starting next week. And so the counseling team will go in, present to the students, talk about which classes they are eligible to take, dual credit, and then they'll give them all that information. And then we'll walk them through the application process. So the information Milka's sharing with you tonight is what that process will look like, but please know that we will go and present to the kids next week. You'll get all that information. We will have our academic expo where you're welcome to come up and talk with some of the, like Collin College will be there represented, get some more information about that. So there are lots of other ways that this information is also going to be followed up for you. So please don't panic. There's a lot of questions about, can we do this at home, or do they have to come to the session at school, all those kind of things. And so we will definitely make sure that you get all of the specifics, or your child gets all of those specifics through the registration process. So just kind of know that as we're going along. And there's questions about like if you don't have a social security number, some of those things, or your child doesn't, some of those things. So we can walk you through some of that as well. Today, Milk is giving you really the broad overview and kind of what's going to be coming. And then the counseling team and Ms. Pavlik will be helping you with that process once we're really full blown in registration, starting really next week. Okay, so please don't panic. Please don't panic. We got you.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so this next screen, I just wanted to provide some information. There's going to be a question on the application where the student will need to enter accurately their graduation dates. So I just want to include those dates for the student so that they can enter in that information correctly. And that's why I've included this slide here. Okay, so admissions and onboarding. So really important, the high school must approve all of the dual credit classes that you as a student is going to be taking. And that includes also non-dual credit classes, for example, classes for concurrent credit. I'll just touch base a little bit here on what concurrent credit means. Concurrent credit classes are classes where the student receives only college credit, not high school credit. For example, some students may want to take a concurrent credit class during summer semester. Those classes need to be approved by the high school counselor. And then concurrent credit classes, really important to note, are not covered. The tuition is not covered through Melissa High School, so it would be the student's responsibility to pay for those specific classes by the due dates for each semester. And then lastly, you must have written approval from your high school to make any changes to the dual credit classes that you're taking as well. Okay, so this is a screenshot of what Workday looks like. Workday is that student interface that Collin College students use. As mentioned earlier, they're going to receive some emails from Collin College to their personal email after they complete their application. And they're going to receive a username and temporary password to log into this. The student's going to want to check that, log into their Workday account. And as seen here on the upper right-hand side, there's going to be a little inbox that the student needs to click on so that they can see all the action steps that need to be completed by the student for those admissions holds. Okay, so one admissions hold is going to include the high school dual credit permission form. This is what the permission form looks like. There's going to be a due date also for students to turn this in to their high school counselor. So this is something that Melissa High School will be providing the students. The student will need to fill it out, sign it, the parent or guardian is going to sign, and then it needs to be turned into the high school counselor. So this is a really important.
Y'all need to sign when y'all don't even want to give us all the information.
Without this information or this form, students can take dual credit classes. So this is another important step as well for eligibility. Okay, so a little bit more about onboarding. A couple of other admissions holds that students are going to have is the TSI admissions hold for students who want to take those academic dual credit classes. They'll have to complete the TSI. And also there's going to be a hold called the campus safety hold that the student's going to see on their Workday account. That is a video that students are required to watch in order to complete that hold on their student account. Okay, so just a bit of information about the Texas Success Initiative, the TSI. The TSI is not an exam that's pass or fail. It's basically designed to measure college readiness in both reading and writing and math. It's basically a course placement test. And so students must be at college level on the TSI in their reading and writing for the majority of those academic courses. And for the math or science courses for dual credit, they must have received a college level score in their math portion of the TSI. There are some TSI exemptions that students can take advantage of. For example, if a student has taken the SAT or ACT and scored these scores here listed, then students can then possibly be exempt from having to take the TSI. So it's important that students know this, and that also if they do have a qualifying score, they will need to submit those scores to Collin College in appropriate timing. So for example, if they want to submit their qualifying scores for SAT, they'll have to log into College Board to do that. And for the ACT, that would be through the ACT website. Also, there's TSI waivers. So these are temporary waivers that students can also take advantage of for dual credit students. These waivers are for students, for example, that have taken the ACT Aspire, the PSAT, or STAR and have qualifying scores. These waivers are only through high school and their time in high school doing the dual credit classes. And so if your student has one of these qualifying scores, the scores must be reported by the high school counselor to either myself or our dual credit department in order for those scores to be entered in the student's account to be waived from taking the TSI as well. Okay, so I've mentioned a little bit about this, but the TSI will be offered at Melissa High School on specific dates, and I'll provide those dates further on here. But for students who would like to take the TSI at one of our Collin College campuses, that is available. Or for example, let's say the student takes the TSI at Melissa and wants to retest later, they can do that at one of our Collin College campuses at their cost. So the cost for taking the TSI in person at a Collin College campus is $29, and the online version is $40. So that is available. What the student would need to do is go on to the TSI testing webpage and on the Collins website in order to make an appointment on there to take the TSI at one of the Collin College locations. Okay, so just want to mention a little bit about the bacterial meningitis vaccination. So dual credit students that plan to take their classes for dual credit at their high school don't have to worry about this. But this is an admissions hold that comes on to their account. So for students who, let's say, get permission to take a dual credit class or a concurrent credit class from their high school at one of the Collin College campuses, they would need to have submitted their proof of vaccination for this to Collin College before they can go on campus and begin taking those classes. So again, just to reiterate here, this is only something that students would need to submit proof of to Collin College if they're going to take a class as approved by the high school at any of the Collin campuses, but not Melissa High School. Okay, so registration. So for all you parents who are wondering, well, how's my student going to get registered? Or if you're wondering how you're going to get registered for your classes once you complete all the steps, I will be the person registering the dual credit students for their classes. Once all the steps are completed, around March, I will be provided a listing of students who have become eligible, have covered all the steps that are necessary to take dual credit, and all the classes they're going to be taking as approved by the high school. So that's something that the student doesn't have to worry about. I'll be registering your student for either their dual credit or concurrent credit classes. Okay, so a little bit about resources. So one of these resources available to Collin College dual credit students is resources for accommodations. So if you're a student or you have a student that has a 504 accommodation through the high school, that 504 accommodation does not follow the student into college. And so a student needs to go through Collin College's access department and request those accommodations. What they will need to do here is they need to self-identify that they need an accommodation. They have to apply to receive an accommodation through Collin College's access office. and they will need to provide documentation of their disability. And then really important to note here, students must request accommodations each semester for each professor. So if your student needs to request accommodations, we do have a dedicated dual credit access advisor. Her name is Tara Franklin, and her email address is listed here if anyone has any questions about accommodations at Collin College. So more campus resources that are available to students at no cost for Collin College are listed here. For example, students have access to our career services at our campuses, library, our tutoring centers, really important, our writing and math labs, for example. So I just want students and parents to know that these resources are available to all dual credit students as they would be available to any Collin College student. So please take advantage of those resources that are available to you. Also here to note is that students can pick up a Collin College ID card. These are free. What this would help the student with is that they can check out books at our libraries, at our campuses if they have a Collin College ID. We have some campus locations where we have fitness centers and students can use those fitness centers if they have a Collin College ID card, for example, as well. So if students are interested, they can definitely go to one of our campuses to get one of those at the student engagement offices. All right, another resource for parents and students is that we do have a dedicated website for dual credit at the Collin College website. So that's a place where you can find some great and important information, deadlines, dual credit forms, all of that on there for students and parents. If you go to collin.edu and search dual credit, then you can find the link to our dual credit website on there. And then there are some dedicated web pages on there specific to every school we partner with, including Melissa High School. So this is our team at Collin College, our Collin College and Career Counselors. We are, of course, here to help students with any dual credit needs in the high school as well, and college and career advising. We're all designated at specific high schools that partner with Collin College. All right, so really important, the dates we were talking about, and that you'll be getting, as Ms. Stover said, some more information about, so don't worry later on from the school about these dates and all these deadlines. But as mentioned earlier, so there are going to be application days held at Melissa High School, January 17th, 18th, and 19th for the students to attend during A or B lunch. There is a deadline where the student has to have applied to Collin College, and that's February 23rd. Also, Melissa High School is going to hold dual credit registration sessions, which are sessions for helping the student to complete those admissions holds. These are February 27th, 28th, 29th, and March 1st, 5th, and 6th during lunches as well. Some of the important registration documents we talked about are the dual credit and permission form that the student's going to have to fill out and sign along with the parent and turn into their high school counselor, and the mandatory campus safety training video that the student needs to watch on their student account through Collin College that we talked about. And those will be due March 8th. And then there's going to be a dual credit registration Google form that's going to be required through Melissa High School for students to complete as well. That will be due March 21st by 4 p.m. As mentioned earlier, Melissa High School is going to also offer the TSI on campus on March 5th and 6th. And all these steps, no exceptions, need to be completed by March 21st, 4 p.m. And students must be TSI complete by that date so we can get them registered for those classes. All right, that concludes the presentation. If anyone has any questions they'd like to add to the chat, I'm happy to get those answered for you.
Milka, one other thing I want to make sure that we reiterate as a dual credit student, really a student in general, but as a dual credit student, one of the most important things the kids need to make sure that they're doing diligently is checking their email. And that means their Melissa School email, but also their Collin College email. A lot of the information with timelines and reminders and all of those things goes out through email. So it's one of those things to start helping train up your child that they should be checking that email, hopefully daily. But if not, at least every couple days, because a lot of those reminders you will find this spring, if you move forward with the dual credit process, you will get a number of emails, mainly from Ms. Fournier, also from Ms. Pavlik, that will give them the information they need on whether it's a form they're missing or what forms are required, the timeline when those have to be turned in. And as at Melissa High School, we have to meet the timeline that Collin College sets. And so a lot of our deadlines are set because Collin College has to have those to set their courses. So it's going to be of utmost importance so that your child follows all of those deadlines. And so checking their email is the best way for them to stay informed of that. So moving forward, something to work on there. We are still answering some questions in the chat. And so we'll do that for a couple more minutes as well. A reminder that the presentation, once we're able to stop the recording today and download it and get it to our communications department, I know they will work quickly to get it posted. And then we will ask Mr. Eckert to send out a reminder letting you guys know that it will, when it is posted to the website with the link so that you can easily find it. And the families who were not able to be on tonight, they'll be able to go there and get that information as well. And again, remember that the counselors are starting to come to the classrooms and give presentations next week. Then we have the expo. And then the counselors will be going back and meeting with all the students one-on-one to do that registration process. So there are still a lot of opportunities where they're going to get this information again, get additional information to help them really figure out all of the timeline pieces and what forms they have to have. I see that someone just asked a 504 question as well. That might have been a direct message to me, but asking about 504, Ms. Pavlik had mentioned that that information has to be shared with the Access office. It doesn't matter if they're getting the accommodations at Melissa High School. When I worked directly with the 504 plans in the last couple of years, I was not able, like, we're not supposed to provide that information to the college professors. That has to come from the Access office. And it's a very different, like, kind of picking and choosing some of those accommodations. So make sure that you're working through that process and getting all of that handled as well with 504. Let's see, any other counselor people from stuff in the chat? Is there anything else you want to reiterate? Someone asked if they are weighted, like the honors classes. Yes, they are weighted courses. A really good resource for those kind of questions as well is the academic planning guide that we have. And so that's a good place to go and look for that information as well, because those qualifications are important. Also meeting that GPA requirement, meeting that TSI requirement, or with a PSAT waiver. So some things there. Counselors, anything else you guys want to pop on and reiterate that you're seeing in the chat? I just really think checking those emails, meeting those deadlines is going to be key with the registration.
Yeah, I just
Several
want to
parents that asked
go ahead.
about prerequisite courses and if a sophomore, a rising sophomore student would be eligible to take a course. So it depends on which, specifically in math, for instance, if your student is a current freshman who is taking Algebra 2, then they may choose to apply for dual credit stats in college algebra. You know, we offer English 4. You know, obviously you need English 3 first, right? And then environmental science, that's a senior only course. Math is kind of depends on where your placement is, and if you would like to take pre-cal at Melissa High School prior to taking dual credit college algebra, because statistically students do better in dual credit college algebra after they've had pre-calculus at the high school level. With government economics, that's a senior course. if your student is a rising sophomore who is involved in the health science program, they may take dual credit med term and pathophysiology. I think there's one more I'm missing. I'm not
Well,
sure, but there's
There was a question on there too, Ms. Warner, that you were looking at that was asking about, is there a crosswalk? Because they were asking about, is there a dual credit health? There's the health
Mhm.
sciences, but not like the semester health class that's offered at some schools in the state of Texas. And you're asking if there's a
Yes.
crosswalk. Back earlier in the presentation, Ms. Pavlik had a number of slides that were the courses that we offer, the ones that are the core classes, like Ms. Fournier was just talking about with the math, the environmental science, those things, the government and economics. And then the pages after that gave details about the career tech side courses that are offered. So when the presentation is posted, you can flip through those slides and be able to look at those as well. Plus, they're in our academic planning guide. Ms. Fournier, is there another place where they could find those easily?
Those
for
can
us to
also be
listen?
found on the dedicated dual credit website through the Collin College website. The crosswalk with all the listed courses is there. As far as, so
Perfect.
if anyone wants to go to the collin.edu website, on the search on the right hand side, they can type in dual credit, and then you can see the link to the dual credit website on there.
Right. We don't, even though like there might be, we require our students, or the state of Texas requires that high school students take a full credit of a fine art. That doesn't mean that you could take art at Collin and count it as a dual credit class. There are only certain classes that we do have that relationship with, or that that we accept for dual credit. So you do want to pay attention to that. Yes. Now that doesn't mean you couldn't go take an art class at Collin if you wanted to on your own time as a concurrent enrollment class, but not for dual credit. Anything else? Oh,
The Venu here, Venu Arcot. My son is raising sophomore, but he has done some advanced mathematics, algebra 2. Yeah, algebra 2. But he's not sure in college what discipline he is going to get into. Can he randomly pick up algebra and pre-calc as part of the dual course?
yes, it would depend where he goes to the university, whether it would be accepted into his degree plan. Depends on what he decides to major in at the college level. So he would want to check that, or just take it as a basic level math or an elective class as well. Specific questions, let's hold on those. That'll be something we can answer when the counselors go in to meet with the students. And if you wanted to come to the academic expo, that's a great place to ask those questions as well. We're just not going to have the time tonight to answer student specific questions quite at that level. Counselors, anything else you're seeing in the chat?
Just a couple of questions about concurrent courses. Again, if your student is interested in taking a course at Collin College that is not offered for dual credit, please just have them reach out to their academic counselor and we will discuss that with them. Concurrent courses are not paid for by the district. They are at the expense of the family. And you also have to be sure that when you're looking at concurrent courses to take, that you can they're either online or you can get to them, after school, because we do not offer a class period like a study hall for a student to complete a concurrent course. That has to be done on your own time.
Anything else you're seeing in the chat, Ms. Fournier, that we need to mention that's good for the group?
I don't think so. Not that's just popping
There's
up.
some questions about payment. The district does pay for the tuition, not the books, and only for dual credit courses, not concurrent classes, like Ms. Fournier was just saying.
The academic expo, that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Dover, I think it's January 17th
Yes.
at 6 p.m. in the Student Union.
Right. And there was a 8th grade parent on here as well. We do always have a 8th grade parent meeting at the start of that academic expo. So the parent meeting starts at 5:30, and then you could just stay for the expo from there. So the information that's presented to your students about registration in general at the 8th grade level, that information will be presented then to the parents at that night as well. Let's see. And thank you for the people saying thank you for presenting tonight. We appreciate it. I'm trying to scan through here.
One last thing was about associate's degrees. We do not
Yeah.
currently offer an associate degree program at our school. We max amount of dual credit classes a student could earn, I think, is 30 at this point. So that's just not enough to need that associate degree program.
There were some questions earlier about IB, and will IB students be able to take dual credit courses when we get to that point where we have those IB courses on campus? It depends on the course, because some of the courses they'll be taking as IB courses, and then can potentially, depending on testing for IB, earn some college credit that way, much like you do for AP. And so that would be sort of separate. You wouldn't take the same class twice. You can't earn credit for the same class twice. So if they're taking it through IB as an IB course, they wouldn't then also take it as dual credit.
Yes, and also just for some general information, IB, if your student is interested in IB and dual credit classes, there is a general IB meeting on February 26th and April 8th. And so that information will be posted online as far as when and where. But again, it's February 26th and April 8th for just general information.
Okay, and it looks like somebody's reiterating a question about summer courses. And let's see, where do they get permission to take those courses? Ms. Fournier had said they pick those forms up in the counseling suites, so you can do that. But that would be for concurrent enrollment, not for dual credit.
Yes, they answered those questions for me. Thank you so much.
You
I wanted to
bet.
make sure before you said it all.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to make sure that was answered.
The summer classes fill up very, very quickly. So if your student is, wants to take dual credit for the fall, they need to also let us know that they are wanting to do that for summer as well, because it's going to change when you're applying for admissions to Collin. As well as, needing to meet with Ms. Pavlik, just to make sure that you're registering for the right classes and that they're actually open, because those courses are open to the general public. So they fill up very, very quickly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much again.
And somebody just asked on their information about the expo. So the district will be posting, we have a whole expo page that is about to be released and shared with everybody. Lots of amazing info on there, and all of our registration processes and forms and all of that will be posted on that expo page as well. And we'll send all of that. I encourage you, if you aren't already getting those emails and text messages from Mr. Eckert, those are extremely important. They should be connecting to whoever you have as the contacts for your student on campus. But if you aren't getting them, we want to make sure we find a way for you to get on those lists, because that is really good connections to what is what's upcoming. And then also our student news page, he always connects to that as well, and that always has all the dates and all kinds of different things. I love going to that as a parent myself. So good information on both of those places. What else are we seeing over there? Anything else? I know we're coming up on that hour time limit here. Sorry, scanning through these, you're not receiving those emails. Reach out to, if you're not receiving those messages on a weekly basis, usually he sends them out on Fridays with the link to that student news. But I know like one went out today with a reminder about this meeting. And so if you didn't receive the one today about this meeting, you may want to reach out to probably the main office to see if we can get your, well, actually check your hack first to make sure that your email is correct in there and your phone number, because that's what it should be connecting directly to. Let's see, anything else? Ms. Vega, I know you're answering questions on there. I appreciate it. Trying to see if there's anything else.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
My granddaughter goes to Melissa, and
Yes, ma'am.
I try to
so-
help her with a lot of the things, and I was just wondering, would I be privileged to that information, or do I have to go through her mom to get it?
You would, if you're not listed as the main contact in her online system, it would be her mom. And I think you were the one who also asked, like, could we get with your granddaughter and make sure that she had the information or whatever that is?
Correct.
She will get all the information through the registration process. So
Okay.
you might just want to give her a heads up and then maybe tell her to check the website as well. So,
Okay.
but her counselor will be meeting with her directly. So.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I may
Yeah,
have,
you
I'm
bet.
gonna do that
You bet.
and see what I can do to stay on top of this. I
I
appreciate
hear
it.
you. And we appreciate you doing that.
Mhm.
Somebody just asked again if they could get a recorded link of the meeting. Yes, Ms. Pavlik did hit record at the beginning of this. As soon as we are finished here in just a few minutes, we'll be able to, or she will be able to download that and send it to us. Then we will share it with our communications department to have it posted. This will take likely a couple of days because it takes a minute for all this to download, first of all, and then to get it moving from there. So I would say, let's see, early next week, probably, I would look for it to be posted. Mr. Eckert will send out a reminder that that is posted when it does get out there. So kind of be watching for that. Anything else, Ms. Fournier, that you see in there?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Ms. Pavlik, Milka, do you have anything else?
No, that's it. I'm happy to also be available to answer any questions that parents or students might have. My email address is mpavlik, Pavlik @collin.edu. So I'm happy to help as well.
And I'll post that in the chat so they can see that. mpavlik @collin.edu.
Yes.
All right, we've got that posted then. Oh, hang on, it's trying to direct message. Sorry. Let's see. Ms. Fournier, anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay, we appreciate all of you logging on here tonight. We know your time is valuable, and that will be posted so you can review it. If your child was not able to listen tonight, I really encourage you to have them watch the presentation as well. A lot of this falls to your child. And remember, these grades, they are college grades as well. So they will follow them on that college transcript. So it's a pretty serious deal, but it's also a really awesome opportunity. So I would encourage you to have them listen to it also, so they just get the seriousness of it and understand the whole process too. Ms. Pavlik, anything else? Wrapping up?
No, that's all I have. Thank you so much, everybody, for your help and for participating this evening. We really appreciate it. Hopefully this will be something very helpful and useful to you as a student and parent.
Absolutely. And again, tell your child, check their email. It's the
Yes.
best thing they can do.
Check both
to
your
help the
Melissa
process.
and your Collin College email. You have
That's
both.
right. Got to meet these timelines, got to get the information. So you guys have a fantastic night. Miss Milka, thank you for opening this up tonight as well.
Thank you so much.